Hey, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to study for the PMP exam. I have a part 1 created. So in the part 1 of the video, I went at a very high level overview of how to study for the PMP exam with the PMBOK. Based on my experience, I just wanted to share this information. When you are reading the book, just know that the book is written on a chapter by chapter basis. For example, if I go to integration management, you can see on the knowledge area, that's the 4th chapter in this guide. And within that, there are 6 process groups. And the book is written in a way that it covers all the 6 process groups within the same chapter. But what you would notice there is each of this process group falls in different phases of the project. So the project has a initiation phase when we get started with the project. Then we have a planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and then finally the closing phase. So in a real life scenario, it would logically make sense to understand what are all the activities that you complete in the planning phase before jumping through planning, executing, monitoring and controlling and closing. In a real life situation, you would never go through that way, right? You cannot just come up with the scope management plan and then jump on to validate and control scope, which is in the monitoring and controlling phase, because when you're in the planning phase, you have not even reached there. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you can read through, this would be a better, faster way to read. Do not try to cover the chapter. Don't read sequentially, but read the book in a way that you're covering the phases first. So in chapter 1, you would look at what are the activities or process group that is part of the initiating process group, if that makes sense. So if I look at here, it has develop project charter and identify stakeholders. Develop project charter is in the chapter number 4 in the 5th edition, and identifying stakeholders, that's in the last chapter of this guide. So you have to jump from 4th chapter to the 13th chapter to logically make sense of things, right? So when you are in the initiating phase of the project, you're not doing anything else. You're just doing project charter, coming up and writing things at a very high level. By the way, if you want to know how to write a project charter, I have created a video on this channel. You can check that out here. I'll put the link in the description below. So after this video, you can watch that and see how a project charter can be created and what are the 10 things that you should have or you should cover in the project charter. So anyway, so you get an idea, right? So you are doing only certain things in the initiating phase. So what is the point of trying to understand from initiating all the way to closing when you are not doing that in real life? So the easiest way to understand, if you're reading the book for the first time, you can go chapter by chapter, but in order for you to relate it to a real world situation, I think the best way is to follow the process group. So look at initiating process group and see what are different knowledge areas covered, and then you may have to skip chapter, but that's fine. That's a rough read and that will register in your mind faster than going chapter by chapter. For example, if I jump onto the planning process group, so this is where we are doing the project planning. So it touches all the 10 knowledge areas as part of the planning. And that logically makes sense because you have to think about your cost, resource, your time. So if you think in that perspective, it's much more easier to understand how to plan rather than going in sequential order of how the book is written. For example, if you go by chapter, then you in the 5th chapter you would have project scope management, and where you would only cover about scope management, creating requirements, defining work breakdown structure, and finalizing the scope. And then towards monitoring and controlling, you would read about validating and controlling scope. So in that case, you have not even read about how do you continue with the planning, resources, quality, time, and other things, right? You're just focused on scope because that's the way the book is written. So all I'm trying to say here is, if you read the book chapter by chapter, it won't logically make sense. It's going to cover that topic, that scope or time, that particular knowledge area end to end. But in order to logically make sense, you have to think about what's sequentially happening in a real time or in real world, right? So in real world project, what's going to happen sequentially is you do initiate the project, then you plan, then you execute, then you manage and control, and then finally you close the project. So that's a sequential way of the project execution, but that is not how the book is written. The book is written in a particular defined scope. So the book is written from a knowledge area perspective. For example, chapter 7 talks about cost management. So in that chapter, you will only see about anything related to cost, planning, cost management, estimating budget, how to determine your budget, how to control the budget, and all those things. All right, so I think that was something that I was missing in the part 1 of the video, so I thought I will just quickly make this video up here. So that's a very important point that you need to remember when reading this book. And I think logically it makes much easier to understand that if you read the book from chapter to chapter, you're not going to make sense of things, because that's not how you might have seen the project execution in your real world, because it goes sequentially, not end to end from scope and then following cost and other things, right? You would do rather sequentially in with respect to process group, because you would have initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, then closing. And the other thing to note about is in the PMBOK is highly waterfall. It's written in a traditional waterfall methodology in mind. So when you're reading the book, think about that. And you can apply for agile, but majority of the portion is written with the background that the project is executed in a traditional waterfall method. So the book has been revised and updated to accommodate for agile, but it's not purely 100% agile yet. If you have any questions or comments, put that in the comments section below, and I will catch up with you guys over there. Alright guys, so that's all for today. I think I'll end the video here, and I will continue to make videos so you can study PMP with me. And I just want to make sure that if you're writing CAPM or PMP, I really want to help you out to pass your exam, and looking forward to chatting with you guys in the comment section below. All right, take care, see you in the next one. Bye.